Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, the United States has demonstrated its unbreakable bond with Israel by approving the largest ever allocation of military aid in the history of the Jewish state. Congress pledged an unprecedented $705 million for the continued development of Israel's multi-tiered missile defense systems. The record sum reflects a dramatic increase of $148 million. The funds will be used for the mass production of the Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow 3 interceptors. The systems provide a protective umbrella against short and medium-range missile attacks from Hamas in Gaza and Hezbollah in Lebanon, as well as long-range ballistic missiles fired from Iran.
The Israeli government has greeted U.S. President Donald Trump's choice of John Bolton as his new national security advisor with enthusiasm. Education Minister Naftali Bennett praised Bolton as an extraordinary security expert, experienced diplomat, and stalwart friend of Israel. Minister of Justice Ayelet Shaked said that Bolton stands out among the president's many appointments of Israel's true friends to senior positions, and that this is turning out to be the most friendly administration to the Jewish state ever. In contrast, the Palestinians reacted with insults and anger to Trump's election. Senior PLO member Hanan Ashrawi seethed that Bolton's appointment represents the joining of the Trump administration with extremist Zionists, fundamentalist Christians, and white racists. Bolton openly opposes a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the 2015 Iranian nuclear deal, while he is strongly supportive of U.S. recognition of Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
Israel's formal acknowledgement that it destroyed a Syrian nuclear reactor in 2007 is widely being interpreted as a message to Iran. The announcement about Operation Out of the Box was made after military censors lifted a more than decade-long gag order on the attack. Newly declassified materials, including photographs and cockpit video, show the moment the Israeli airstrike demolished the Al-Kubar facility more than 300 miles deep inside Syrian territory. The timing of the decision to go public comes after repeated calls in recent months by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the United States and the international community to take tougher action against Syria's ally, Iran. The premier has warned numerous times that Israel will never allow the rogue Islamic Republic to develop nuclear weapons and will take any action necessary to prevent Iran from posing a direct threat to the Jewish state.
Israeli fighter jets launched strikes against a Hamas training camp in Gaza following a Palestinian cross-border attack. 4 Arab terrorists attempted to damage the new underground anti-tunnel barrier by setting fire to heavy equipment used in its construction. The terrorists fled back into Gaza when they saw an Israeli patrol team headed their way. And in a separate infiltration incident, 3 terrorists armed with grenades and knives were captured in southern Israel, about 4.5 miles from the Gaza border. The IDF spokesperson stressed that the army will continue to thwart all attempts to harm the state of Israel and will respond severely against those who wish to harm Israeli civilians.
The United Nations Human Rights Council has become a circus of the absurd and should change its name to the Council for Decisions Against the Only Democracy in the Middle East, completely detached from reality. That strong condemnation was issued by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu after the UN body adopted 5 resolutions against the Jewish state in a single day. Meanwhile, the UNHRC members only bothered to pass 2 resolutions on Syria and 1 each for South Sudan, Myanmar, Iran, and North Korea. U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley blasted the 47-member Geneva-based organization as foolish and unworthy of its name and said it lacks the credibility needed to be a true advocate for human rights.
Britain's opposition leader is facing renewed charges of anti-Semitism. Jewish community leaders published an open letter criticizing Jeremy Corbyn for his failure to tackle anti-Jewish sentiments within the ranks of his Labour Party and association with blatant anti-Semites. The issue flared up again this past week after it came to light that in 2012, Corbyn opposed the removal of a London street mural depicting men in suits with large noses playing Monopoly on the backs of naked people. When confronted, Corbyn said he regrets not having looked more closely at the image, which he says now he recognizes is deeply disturbing and anti-Semitic. Jewish leaders say that the Labor politician's excuse strains credulity, given the clearly grotesque nature of that mural. They also held a protest against Corbyn's apparent toleration of anti-Semitism outside the British Parliament.
French authorities determined that an elderly Holocaust survivor in Paris was killed in an anti-Semitic attack. 85-year-old Mireille Canol was stabbed multiple times and her body was set on fire. A Muslim neighbor of the victim and a friend of his have been charged with perpetrating the hate crime. Jewish advocacy groups are voicing concern over similarities in the case with the murder of Sarah Halimi in April of 2017. The 66-year-old Orthodox Jewish physician and kindergarten teacher who lived a few blocks away from Canol was beaten and thrown out of a window, also allegedly by a Muslim neighbor. Both victims were elderly women who lived alone and had reportedly filed previous complaints of threats.
Germany's new foreign minister, Heiko Maas, visited Israel's Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem at the start of his recent two-day visit to the region. Maas attended a memorial ceremony at the museum's Hall of Names and met with survivors. Berlin's top diplomat said that his nation is responsible for the most cruel crimes in human history, and that Germans consider the Holocaust as both a warning sign and a commitment to work around the world for human rights and tolerance. He added that action should be taken to combat anti-Semitism and racism everywhere, each and every day.
Saudi Arabia made history by ending its 70-year-old ban on commercial planes flying to or from Israel through its airspace. Air India Flight 139 touched down at Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion Airport just before the Passover holiday on its inaugural route over Saudi skies from New Delhi. The shortcut trims hours off the voyage by eliminating a circuitous path around the Arabian Peninsula. Israel's tourism ministry called the maiden passage a diplomatic achievement and announced that Singapore and the Philippines are now trying to negotiate similar deals. Even though Riyadh does not officially recognize the Jewish state, its diplomatic shift is being attributed to shared concerns over Tehran's rising influence in the region.
So far, nearly twice as many Jews have visited the Temple Mount in Jerusalem since September than during the same period of time last year. According to records taken since the Jewish Rosh Hashanah New Year, more than 12,000 people have made a pilgrimage to the holy site where both biblical temples once stood. And those figures could be even higher. The latest data was based on a head count by volunteers from Jewish Temple Mount organizations and included only those who coordinated their visits. Even though the compound is the holiest site in Judaism, access to Jews and Christians is limited, while Muslims enjoy the unrestricted right to worship.
Israel will invest nearly 1 billion shekels, or about $287 million, in a project that will allow researchers and private companies access to data regarding the overall health of the Israeli population. The plan was unveiled by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who explained that the ultimate goal is the personal calibration of preventive medicine for each individual. Nearly all of Israel's 9 million citizens belong to 4 health maintenance organizations, all of which maintain digital records of their members. The prospective harnessing of big data analytics holds enormous potential for improving health care by providing invaluable insight into how medicines perform against disease.
Israel's reputation as a world leader in high tech was just affirmed by industry pioneer Elon Musk. The founder of the SpaceX and Tesla firms just delighted millions of Twitter and Instagram fans by uploading images of his recent visit to the country. He included video of his cable car ride and a selfie from the top of the historic Masada fortress, where he wrote the words, "Live free or die." Musk praised an upscale eatery in Jerusalem's iconic Jewish market for having the best menu ever, and he posted images of other hotspots that he enjoyed in the capital. The South African-born Canadian-American billionaire reportedly came to the country on a mission to acquire Israeli artificial intelligence vision for autonomous driving. The legendary tech visionary called the Negev Desert the energy future of the State of Israel during his meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and he also hailed the Jewish state as a technological superpower.
Even God's mailbox needs a spring cleaning. A team operating under rabbinical supervision carefully collected thousands of written prayers to the Almighty left by the world's visitors at the Western Wall in Jerusalem. Many faiths have adopted the Jewish tradition of leaving notes at the holy site. After being gathered, the messages are buried on the Mount of Olives overlooking the Temple Mount. The removal takes place twice a year, just before the Passover and New Year holidays, to ensure that there will always be room for more.
There's been a stunning archaeological discovery of rare Jewish coins dating back to the Roman siege of Jerusalem during the years 66 and 73 of the Common Era. The remarkably well-preserved bronze treasures were found during renewed excavations of the Ophel Cave just below the southern wall of the Temple Mount. The 2,000-year-old coins were minted with traditional Jewish images, including a palm tree symbolizing the tribe of Judah, a ritual goblet used at the Second Temple, and the 4 biblical species associated with the festival of Sukkot. The currency also bore inscriptions in ancient Hebrew, reading "For the freedom of Zion," and the redemption of Zion, the latter of which appears on today's 10-shekel coins used in the modern state of Israel. It is particularly significant that these last remnants of the 4-year Jewish revolt against the Roman Empire were discovered just ahead of the Passover holiday, when Jewish self-determination and freedom are being celebrated 2 millennia later. That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host Josh Reinstein, and we're here on a beautiful sunny day on our rooftop studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Joseph Wachs. He is the founder of Project 70. Joseph, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Joseph, tell our viewers a little about what is Project 70.
So the idea behind it is that I come here with my boys every single summer, and we travel around Israel, and we see such fascinating places, up in the Golan, down in the south in the Mitzpeh Ramon. And I said, how come no one knows about this? Even Israelis don't know about this. Definitely my mates in Miami don't know. So I said, let's film this and put this out as a gift to the world and share it with the world. So we chose 70 locations, and we went from place to place filming it. And every single day before Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel Independence Day, we're putting out one location for people to go know about. Share my experience with the world.
What's really unique about this is that you're a successful businessman from Miami, and you basically left everything you were doing to come here and do this project. Why did it speak so deeply to you?
Because unfortunately Israel does not get the right rep around the world. The only times you hear about Israel is the negative vibes, and there's so much beauty here. There's a country made up from 80 different countries. That's where Israel, and in a tiny little place. And I said, let's get people to, number one is go to these places. I remember as a boy growing up in Australia, and there was this campaign called Ha'am im HaGolan. The nation is with the Golan Heights, because they were talking about giving away or whatever it was. And now no one would even think about it. And the Golan is beautiful. No one would even think about giving any parts of the Golan Heights. I want Ha'am im Medinat Israel. I want the entire nation, the Jewish people, the Christians, the entire world to be with the entire nation. Go visit these places.
Joseph, it's unbelievable what we're seeing for the 70th anniversary. I mean, everyone's coming to Israel for it. They're expecting 4 million tourists. Why did you select this date to do your 70 films? What was so significant to you?
70 years is a miracle. When I walk around in Tel Aviv and I see the highway of the Yarkon just packed, they see traffic. I see a miracle in front of my eyes. Traffic, I know, they're upset down there. But when I'm standing on top of the bridge and I see bumper-to-bumper traffic, that's a miracle. We wouldn't have imagined. There wasn't even the Yarkon, the highway 70 years ago. Definitely Jews weren't around there, or most of the places that we're going to. People weren't even allowed there. Jews weren't allowed to be there.
Hey, you know, it's really incredible that I rub shoulders with the who's who in Israel all the time, and I always see you there. You have incredible access. How did you come from America to here and you get to meet with all these people and have access to all these locations? How is it so open for your project?
Well, let me tell you something. The first thing is we didn't have any connection or relationship with anybody to get to these locations. We went on the first day, we went to a place called Rotem. That's up the north part of Israel. It's in the Golan. And we walked in there. There's 41 families that live there. We get welcomed into a random village by the person that actually started the village. And she told us where to go next. And from that next place, we went to another place. And it was by the people, for the people, about the people. And that is our project. Sharing the love, sharing the beauty. Shiloh. This is another place that we went to. You don't have to be very spiritual. I was brought up very religious. And I studied the text. I was a rabbi, and back in Belgium for 3 years, a rabbi. And I studied these texts where the tabernacle was. And I went there for my first time just now. And it's fascinating. We learned the exact measurements in the text, in the scriptures. This is where it happened. So there's no denying the historical connection that we have to our land over here.
Look, I'm a huge fan of the project because it has so many interesting messages. It's about the land of Israel, it's about the people of Israel, it's about the cultures in Israel. It's also about the fact that you can come as a person from America and make such a difference and have such an impact. How do you encourage other people to take that step?
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted them to understand that you could pull out your iPhone, every single video we took it with an iPhone. The person that took the video is my younger brother. He's 10 years younger than me. He's never videoed in his life before. He now videoed it, edited, and every single day we're putting out another video. And that was the message that you, wherever you are, you can make a change. You can share the love. This has become a different world. It's a 2018 era. You can make a change in your special way. You don't have to be the crazy guy that travels around to all these places and video. Do that too. But you can share the truth, the love by yourself. You could be an ambassador to Israel, to humanity, and people helping people. It's all about people helping people and sharing it around.
I think one of the big things that you're doing is you're not politicizing the places that you're going to. You don't make a distinction between Hebron and Tel Aviv or Shem and Haifa. How important is that in the process of your filmmaking?
We had no idea where we were going to. I went to a place called Susia. I Googled it that night. I found out where we went to. They say it's a very dangerous place. I have no idea what they're talking about. My Rebbe, my rabbi taught me that Israel's the safest place in the world. Look, it's 70 years. We're here, we're strong, we have our own country, we have a flag, we have our own anthem, we have people here with such spirit and such love and such beauty. Meet the people, talk to them. I want people to come, experience these places. And you know what? They'll have 70 locations to choose from. I had my son's bar mitzvah in a place called Psagot, in a winery. And now there's 25 people having their bar mitzvahs from Miami in Psagot this year.
Amazing. Joseph, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
I want people to experience the miracle that's happening here day to day in Israel. I want them to meet the people, the beauty, the landscapes, our historical history. What brings us to this land? When you walk around, you find little coins on the floor in Shiloh, in Psagot. There's so much beauty. Go eat a falafel in Tel Aviv, but it's not just about that Tel Aviv. 25 minutes around from Tel Aviv, you've got mountains, you've got the Mediterranean, you've got desert, and you've got the most amazing place. And share the love. That's what I want. Project 70.
Thank you, Joseph, for being on the show. And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, wishing you a happy Easter and a blessed Pesach. Now back to the studio.
Up next, the return to Zion with Karen Hayesod.
Shalom and welcome to the Return to Zion with Keren HaYesod. I'm Eliezer Moody Sandberg, World Chairman of Keren HaYesod United Israel Appeal, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. Due to the rise of anti-Semitism, the Jews of France are coming to Israel like never before. You will now witness the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. God bless you from Jerusalem.
Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth.
Both the departure from France and the reception at Ben Gurion Airport were colorful and festive events, full of hope for the future. The reception at Ben Gurion had the feel of a homecoming celebration, with flags and greetings, designed to convey to the Olim that they have come home and that everything possible would be done to guarantee a promising future for them and their children, and to ease their absorption. It began with the receiving Israeli ID cards already at the airport, and will continue with the help of a special program designed to streamline the bureaucratic process in the fields of employment, education, and housing.
אתם 206 עולים חדשים, אבל תחשבו כל אחד מכם סוגר מעגל של 2000 שנה. עשרות דורות של סבים וסבתות שלכם התפללו, לחמו, חלמו, ואתם עשיתם את זה.
אתם זוכרים, לפני שבועיים היינו בפריז, נפגשנו שם. נתן שירנסקי, אני, מודי זנדברג וכולם. ומה אמרנו? אנחנו נקבל אתכם בבית. הבית משותף של כולנו, מדינת ישראל.
אני רוצה לברך אתכם בשם משפחת קרן היסוד העולמית. זה רגע מרגש עבורכם וגם עבורנו. המדינה הזאת שייכת לכולנו. לא משנה איפה אתה גר, כחלק מהעם היהודי, ישראל היא המולדת שלך. קרן היסוד מגייסת תרומות, ויחד עם הסוכנות היהודית, השותפה שלנו, ומשרד הקליטה, אנחנו עוזרים לחלום הציוני להתגשם.
The Jewish community of France is the largest in Europe, numbering 500,000 Jews.
On est des vrais sionistes, on adore Israël et que c'est pas par peur ou voilà, c'est vraiment par envie parce qu'on avait envie de vivre ici, on avait envie de vivre en Israël.
Je suis très émue et je réalise pas. J'ai du mal à réaliser parce qu'on préparait ça depuis des années et des années.
Beaucoup de joie, une très grande émotion, j'ai énormément les larmes aux yeux. Et j'espère que tout le monde pourra réaliser ce rêve un jour.
Un projet de vie, ça fait depuis qu'on est mariés, c'était notre projet de monter en Israël.
Je trouve que c'est très impressionnant d'arriver dans un nouveau pays dans lequel on se dit on va arriver, on connaît entre guillemets personne, seul, et au final c'est impressionnant, parce qu'on n'est pas seul et c'est vraiment, c'est beau. Il n'y a que Israël pour faire ça, c'est vraiment... voilà.
Mesdames et messieurs, le Premier ministre de l'État d'Israël, M. Bibi Netanyahu.
Bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue en Israël. יש פה קהילה מפוארת של יהודים שעלו מצרפת, הם יחבקו אתכם ויקבלו אתכם, אבל כל העם יקבל אתכם. אנחנו אוהבים אתכם, אנחנו מעריכים את המעשה הציוני שעשיתם, שהוא גם מעשה אישי. הוא מעשה אישי גדול ומעשה לאומי גדול.
Come join Keren HaYesod in fulfilling biblical prophecy. Let's bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel has repeatedly described the Iran deal of 2015 as a terrible and dangerous deal. President Trump has described it as the worst deal he's ever heard of as a businessman. Why is it so bad? Because it allows Iran to maintain its entire nuclear infrastructure. Some of it's mothballed, but it's all there. Iran can continue to develop more advanced centrifuges that can enrich uranium at 4 times the present rate. And at the end of 8 to 10 years, when the deal begins to expire, Iran will be able to reconnect its infrastructure, its nuclear infrastructure. It will be able to reconnect its more advanced centrifuges and be able to produce enough enriched uranium for dozens and dozens of nuclear weapons. Now, the Iran deal makes absolutely no connection between the fact that Iran is the world's largest sponsor of terror, that Iran has been complicit in the murder of 500,000 Syrians, that Iran is attempting to overthrow pro-Western governments throughout the Middle East, and that Iran is responsible for the murder of hundreds of American servicemen, both in Iraq and Afghanistan. No connection whatsoever. We've seen now how North Korea, with an even stricter nuclear agreement, has been able to violate that agreement, has been able to threaten American cities with long-range ballistic missiles capable of carrying nuclear warheads. The Iranians are taking note. Unless concrete steps are taken to improve the Iranian nuclear deal, to create a connection between the deal and Iran's egregious behavior, to include under the terms of the agreement Iran's illegal ballistic missile system, to end what we call the sunset clause. The sunset clause that means that at the end of 8 to 10 years, the agreement will expire and Iran will be able to go back to being a nuclear producing country. All that must be down. All of that is in the interest of Israel, of course. It's in the interest of the Middle East and the world, but it is above all, in the interest of the United States of America.
Lift up your eyes and look around. All your children gather and come to you. The biblical prophecy is unfolding right before our very eyes. The people of Israel are returning to the Promised Land after 2,000 years of exile. But millions of Jews are still longing to come home. Anti-Semitism threatens many of the Jews. We must rescue them before the window of opportunity slams shut. Bless Israel by supporting Keren HaYesod United Israel Appeal, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. Together, we can fulfill the prophecy of the Bible.
Let us bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan Elron.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.